Hey, how's it going? Thought I'd give you an update on the Turtle Wax hybrid ceramic on my car. So, in case you didn't know, in October of 2020, when I bought this car, or when I got it, I put 2 coats of Turtle Wax's hybrid ceramic coating on it. The first coat I put on one day, and then I waited for like 2 days before I washed it again, and then I applied the second coat, just to make sure that it cured properly. And it was on there really darn well. About 6 months later, I decided to reapply the hybrid ceramic, even though it was solidly on there. Like, it didn't look like it had worn away one little bit. And I guess this car's kind of lucky in a sense because it lives 2 stories underground in an enclosed car park. So it's not out in the weather when it's not driving. And I decided to just give it a wash and put 2 more coats on. The last 2 coats that I put on, I had just done it basically one after the other. There wasn't any sort of waiting period in between, maybe a couple of hours, but that's about it. And I just wanted to use up the rest of the hybrid ceramic that I had in the bottle. And that was, wow, almost a year ago now. So the hybrid ceramic has lasted a crazy long time on this car. And it was still going really strong. Anytime it rained, you could see everything beating up, especially on the glass. Like on the glass, it's so easy to see that it had not worn away one bit. Unfortunately, however, I had to basically remove all of the hybrid ceramic that was on it prematurely. What happened was, because we live in an apartment, we don't have any sort of car wash facilities at our apartment. So when we have to wash the car, we normally do it at my sister-in-law's place, which is near to where I'm filming at the moment. And if we go for like a semi-long drive or something, we will generally stop off at a touchless automatic car wash. So I don't like to use the self-service car washes with the brushes because they induce a shit ton of swirl marks into the paint. And as you can see, the paint on this car is really glossy and really nice. At least it looks that way from where you're sitting. I'll bring you in a little bit closer and show you a couple of defects later on. But we normally use that touchless car wash. It's called a laser wash, basically. And that's what we end up doing whenever we go for a long drive. The front of the car gets caked in bugs and maybe a little bit of mud and dirt. And then we just come back to the laser wash and it does its thing. And I realized a couple of things about the laser wash. The first thing is that it uses really strong chemicals to get the car clean. I mean, really strong. So throughout sort of the 12 times that we've roughly used it, I could tell that it was stripping away little bits of hybrid ceramic every time we used it. It wasn't immediately noticeable, but the more I went to it, the more I realized that the car wasn't beating up as much as it used to. But the hybrid ceramic was still really strongly adhering to the car. It hadn't gone away completely. Long story short, one day we went for a drive way up north, and the car was a bit dirty. It had rained a little bit, so the muck and stuff on the road got flung from the tires onto the car, and it got basically plastered in bugs. And so we did the usual. We went to the touchless car wash, and it was out of service. So I thought, you know what, I'll just use a DIY wash bay next to it. So I gave the car like a really gentle, quick wash and rinsed it off. And then I saw that the DIY touchless sort of car wash area had a brand new gun. There was a Carnauba wax gun, and it said basically you just put your coin in, obviously, and plaster it all over your car and then rinse it off. And I thought, well, wax is good, can't have too much of a good thing. And so I basically plastered all of Vision with that Carnauba wax. And when I went to go wash it off, I noticed that it was leaving yellow streaks all through. You could see it on the white parts of the car. It was just basically like streaking down like waterfalls. and it wasn't coming off. So I rubbed my hand on it, and it was like glue. It was basically sticking to the car. But I knew that something was wrong then, so we took it home, and I thought, well, it's wax, so I'll just buff it off with a microfiber cloth, because, I mean, wax is wax, right? Nope, it wouldn't buff off, no matter how much pressure I put on it. And so I got my orbital polisher out with a woolen buffing wheel on it, and had that going. I had the extension cords and the LED light and everything in the basement garage of my apartment. And yeah, it still wasn't coming off. The only thing that I could use to get it off was brake cleaner, but I didn't want to use it because it's really strong, and so I switched to window cleaner. And window cleaner cleaned it, but it took quite a lot of elbow grease, and it basically stripped everything off of the paint on this thing. And so it was basically bare. And typically, you know, we contacted the car wash people and told them, and he said, oh, you know, that's really weird that happened. Maybe you don't have any clear coat left. And I was like, no, the car's got clear coat on it. And he's like, oh, that's strange, you know, yeah, well, we'll give you a free car wash. And after that point, we basically decided that we're not going to use the laser wash anymore, not just because of the bad sort of service and stuff, but also it's probably more beneficial if we don't do that, if we just sort of get it dirty, use it, make sure that it's protected first, and then we can just come down to my sister-in-law's house and then basically give it a hand wash every now and then. It makes more sense, and plus the car's going to be much more protected then as well. And you know, you can always do a better job giving it a hand wash every 3 months versus taking it to a laser wash, you know, twice a month, and then stripping all of the work that you've done to get the wax on it off. So I've just this week on Tuesday, it's now Saturday, applied another coat of hybrid ceramic. I bought a brand new bottle. I just put the one coat on it because while I was washing the car, I realized that in certain areas the hybrid ceramic was still on there. So it's that strong, you know, it's well, it's not near 2 years, but almost 2 years old. But in certain areas where I hadn't scrubbed it away with the window cleaner, it's still on there. So I just put the one coat on for now. You know, next couple of times when I wash the car, I'll put another coat on, and I'll just do it until the bottle runs out, basically, which is a bit of a shame because I dropped the bottle and the cap broke and I spilt about a quarter of it. So it's not cheap stuff. Here in Australia, it's $50. So yeah, it's not very nice. Anyway, I wanted to show you some of the defects on the paint on this thing, because from far it looks immaculate. And if I'm brutally honest, even from up close, it looks pretty darn good. But it is an old car. The paint is really old. It's mostly original paint. And I noticed that there's a couple of sort of defects when I was washing it. The biggest thing that I noticed with it, and the only real defect, was while I was washing it, if you look up here on the rear window, where it basically goes from white to black on this curvature, the paint is cracked, and you can start to see a tiny bit of rust coming. It's not bad rust, it's just basically exposed to the atmosphere now, and so it's turned a little bit brown. That'll be fine for like, I don't know, 5 years without doing anything to it, but knowing me, I will get that addressed. Otherwise, the rest of the car is really glossy, and I noticed like when the hybrid ceramic was off of it, it kind of lost a lot of its gloss, mostly around here and also up here. So I realize now that the hybrid ceramic basically works like a semi-permanent clear coat, a layer of clear coat. But this little crack here, I know how this formed. It wasn't there when I bought it. And what had happened was, where this car lives, 2 stories underground, it's really cool, regardless of how hot it is outside. And in summer, it was relatively warm this year. I think Christmas Day was 44 degrees Celsius. And so what had happened was, you pull the car out, it's been sitting in this covered garage where it's nice and cold, and immediately it hits like 44, 45 degrees Celsius. And then there's like a bit of a ramp on the in the apartment garage, and so it flexes going up that ramp, and then it flexes hard coming onto the road because there's a big sort of drop off. It's kind of like that, and then it goes up, you know, like a normal driver, but it's a pretty decent angle. And so it basically twists the car and, you know, torsionally. And the paint is so old, because it's original, it's so dry, because I doubt someone had put wax or ceramic or anything on it previously, maybe a coat of wax every now and then, that it basically just cracked it there. And that's not a big deal. Eventually I'll get the whole thing resprayed, but like I said, it's not a big deal. It's not going to rust it out or anything. It'll be fine for many years. Decided to get brand new headlights for it now, so I'm just going to get those from Japan before the car goes to New Zealand later on this year. Other than that, thanks for watching, and catch you guys next time. Bye.